flowers on stage.
In the music industry and any industry, but the music industry specifically can, in a lot of ways, it can change people for better or for worse. And there's a lot of pitfalls where there's the opportunity for people to fall into less than productive repetitions. Like for myself, it was like too much drug use or too much drinking, and that kind of stuff is so prevalent. And without the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, does this behavior align with who I am, who I perceive myself to be? Um, then you can get lost and swept away in that, and you can relate that to the partying. You can relate that into the actual music aspect of it. Like you can start making music that you think other people will like, just to like get ahead in the scene. There's other ways that you can sort of like lose yourself without checking in a lot. So that is definitely huge right off the bat. Is just like the ability to reflect.
Mm. Yeah, looking in the mirror, it's not always you don't always see the pleasant side of things.
It's not comfortable.
What
It's not
other kind
always.
of intangible qualities come to mind other than like being able to, you know, reflect like that?
Um, I think this is definitely intangible. I'm having a hard time verbalizing it, but there's sort of a meditation, I guess. The best way I can sort of relate this is by a meditation idea that I read in a book by Sharon Salzberg, who's a meditation specialist. And one of the concepts that she talks about in terms of dealing with pain and dealing with life in general is like a strong back and a soft front. Um, and that's a little bit confusing. Doesn't really like, you're probably like, what the heck is this guy talking about? But but I think like a blend of being hard enough and determined enough to not let like what other people say or like constant failure get you down, because there's going to be a lot of doubt coming from yourself and other people, and there's just so much failure involved in getting to where you're going to want to be. So there has to be like the strong back. um but the soft front comes in, and it's like, how can we be nicer to ourselves, to support that back? And how do we approach this with like a playful attitude, a softness that will like let us express ourselves without being so hard on ourselves in the process? Because I think a lot of artists really struggle with just coming down on themselves. And like, I know so many people that just deprecate, self-deprecate, and like some people are able to push through it, and like that's part of their process. But like a lot of the times, the more you talk negatively to yourself, the more that will be reflected in your artwork, and like maybe you'll just quit. So I think like there's an element of strong back, soft front that can really push you forward in any discipline. It doesn't have to be art or like professionalism. It's just like giving yourself a break, I guess, when things don't work, and then getting up and trying again.
Yeah, and I love that. Like there's so much of a grind trying to be a
Mm.
professional artist where it's easy to kind of stiffen up and be hardened. But I feel like so much of great art, you have to be free in doing
Yeah.
that. Like you can almost tell if something's contrived to be hit a certain agenda,
Hmm.
or it's just kind of being put out because it has to be put out. Or on the other hand, if it's coming from a really special place, like it speaks volumes, kind of where it's coming from. So I love that.
Sweet.
other than, actually being in the lab, making music, like what would you say is your favorite part about getting to be an artist?
Well, I think expressing myself is pretty cool. Being able to like put my thoughts out. I think the community that I'm allowed to be a part of is definitely one of the top three. I think the amount of people that I've met, and the amount I get to see them and touch base with people and watch them grow over the years is really one of the most special parts of it, I think. Yeah, sharing these moments with people over time and watching what's happening is really cool. And just touching people, touching people. I like touching. I'm Duffrey. I like touching people. um,
That's
being
the
touched,
clip.
being touched by yeah, being touched by people too. Like there's a back and forth to it. Like and I've kind of described this in the past. I don't know if I've ever done it on record, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but there's this like interesting feedback loop of energy that like just gets transmuted into all of these different forms of energy, but it feeds back into itself in so many ways. So like I think about it like I'm on a dance floor and there's this guy on the stage, right? Or girl, there's this person on stage and they had these thoughts, which was, potential, I guess, energy or maybe electric energy when it was like thoughts, like, and then they transmitted that into a computer, into code, and that becomes, another form of energy. And then that comes throughout speakers, and that's electricity, which is a different form of energy. And then it gets pushed through speakers, and that's air. It's actually physically kinetic energy, like I don't know if I'm nailing all of the descriptors here. But like then that hits your eardrums and that becomes thoughts for you. And then you go home and do the same thing, and that becomes code. And it's like all coming from this person's own experiences. And it's this never ending loop of like energy that doesn't, it's not only that it doesn't like, it can't be erased, but I think it multiplies and it like gets more interesting and more nuanced and more like, I think like these vibrations can resonate, like, which it resonance is like feedback at the cutoff frequency. Like these things can resonate and build and grow into like this really big, movement, which is like this energy transfer that just grows and grows and grows until it's this big snowball, and then everybody's dancing to Tipper at Red Rocks, and they're like, ah, yeah, don't leave, you know.
Shout out to the scene, dude. Shout out to the scene.
So like community, and then whatever that was, yeah.
I love it.
Oh.
Looking like in the rear view, would you say
Mm.
that the time you spent on stage has like changed you at all? Like performing on stage for crowds? Like how do you think that's shaped you?
Oh, I mean, definitely, it shaped me from a young age, really, because I was drumming ever since I was 9 years old and playing in jazz band and stuff, and I would perform as much as I could in high school and in middle school. I was in jazz band, concert band, pit orchestra, marching band, and I would like try to be the center of attention, I guess, like try to perform as much as possible. And I think it's done wonders, for my confidence. One thing I think that like playing jazz drums and like you're the one who's soloing and the rest of the band stops and like you fuck up and then everybody in the whole room is watching you, like that's character building, and like you have to just sort of like figure out what to do in that. So there's an element of like being able to think on your feet, which like now being a DJ is much easier to think like to fix a lot of the issues. It's not like you messed up a drum solo in a jazz band. It's like, oh no, the track's gonna end in 30 seconds. I better loop this thing, or like the CDJ doesn't work, blah blah blah. But I think confidence, thinking on your feet, and just overall levels of fun and loving myself. I think like if you like really work hard on something and you like have an idea on how you want it to be displayed, and then you like express yourself and you nail it, and then like it resonates, like that's helped me love myself and it's helped me love other people, I think, more.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about going for it and then hitting that mark and
Yeah.
just the ripple effect of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like for yourself, yeah, for other people, that goes back to that feedback thing. It's like
Mhm.
if you nail your mark, then other people will be like, holy shit, that just happened. Like, and all of that stuff, like, and like maybe that, like, a lot of the times people won't even think about the work that went into it. They'll just be like, oh my God, that was an experience. Like, I want to do something with my life, like, like
Mm.
something different with my life. Not that like, but like, that's how I was inspired to do this stuff, and I think that's how a lot of other people are inspired. They just like catch one performance that's just perfectly done, and then it's like, man, I want to do that.
Do any like specific performances come to mind for you where you've been a fan in the crowd and it's just blown your socks off?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A bunch. The first one I can think of is probably Tipper at Lightning in a Bottle in 2012, and Opio that same year. I was just like, what the heck? I'd known about these people for a few years now. I wasn't like super keen, but I was like into them, and it was just wild seeing like on the scale that it was, that weird of music being accepted by so many people. And it was just like those things clicked, and they were just nailing it like so hard, just track after track, just shelling it, and the people in the crowd were like going bananas, like bonkers. Like the whole place was like, what is happening? Like both sets, it was crazy. And I mean, there's been a bunch of Tipper sets where that kind of clicked. He did like runs at the Coconut Grove in Santa Cruz back in like 2014 and 13 for New Year's, and yeah, I mean, Youssef Days. I saw Youssef Days, and that they were so tight that it was just like, oh my god, how like Krongbin. Also saw Krongbin, and the way that they were able to. I saw the Alla Sala tour. The way they were able to like create such a succinct mood. I saw them at Red Rocks, which I've seen lots of things there, and it just like felt like watching an old faded Western movie, like on TV, and it was like, what the hell? How? It's just lights and people, but like I want to make that much of an impression on somebody. So those are some examples I can think of.
You're definitely drawing from some good inspo
Yeah.
there. I need to see that Tipper come out for a an encore with Yusef Days one of these years. Let Tipper
That'd be nuts.
come out of retirement and do that for
Bro,
us.
I feel like
Come on,
honestly,
Dave.
I feel like Dave would be hyped on it. I'm pretty sure he likes Yusef Days. Like if I texted him right now, I bet he would say he does. I
They're both
bet he would.
aren't they? They're both European, right? Something
Yeah,
like
they're both
that.
British. They're both British. Yeah,
British.
yeah. I think Yusef Days is from somewhere over there. British. Yeah, yep. I'm not gonna try to do mine.
So if you ever feel like burnout coming on, obviously you're giving off full stoked about music vibes right
Hmm,
now,
hmm.
but when life is feeling gray and you're just not inspired to make music, or you're just kind of, rotting on the couch too much, whatever, like what kind of gets your spark back as far as, getting back inspired being an artist?
Um, I think just like relying on routine and like specific wellness habits, like running for me is a big one. Like probably the biggest. If I'm feeling like, I don't know, like I don't want to work, or just sluggish, or maybe I landed in a city where like I'm tired. I slept for 3 hours. There's another gig, but I don't have any energy. I don't care. Then I'll like go for a run, and usually everything's like fine after that. So I'll do that. Meditation, Buddhist meditation, I think is really helpful. And the combination of those two are really, really helpful. And then if I can throw in like practicing the drums or playing like a real instrument or like doing something musical that doesn't involve necessarily producing. And more recently, with the vinyl samples that I've been incorporating, sometimes at the beginning of the session, I'll just listen to records for 2 hours, and that like helps. It helps like warm up my ears, and also just helps like want to be in the room, and I think that's huge. So those are a couple: exercise, routine, meditation, interacting with music is a good way. Physically, if you can. Listening to it is good. And then there's like the challenge aspect. You can always like create constraints for yourself. You know, you can always be like, I'm gonna take a kick sample and make a bass sound out of that by looping it very small, tuning it, you know, with a tuner and pitching it correctly. And then I'm gonna make a neuro sound out of that. And the whole song I'm gonna make out of kick drums, or maybe like I'm gonna try actually playing the instrument that I've played for 15 years into my EDM song, even though I'm like been programming it with my fingers for the last, you know, however many years. Something like that, I think is good. Other ways you can get creativity flowing is trying out a new plugin, watching like a YouTube tutorial, and I would recommend not sound design for that kind of thing. I would recommend like music theory or like interesting jazz like chord. Like there's so many YouTube videos about like check out these weird jazz chords, and they're like okay, and then you just try them and you oh that's a song, cool, you know, like not overthinking it. Like if today you're feeling like womp 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 womp, then just write womp 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 and say fuck all of your thoughts that are like I need to make complex music. Um, there's a lot of stuff for the inspiration bucket.
Dude, dropping gems, Woody. Do you have like a personal philosophy of what you hope your music sounds like?
No, no, I don't think so. I think I used to try to get like more perfect with the music, and I think I should probably get back a little bit to that. I think I've gone a little bit the opposite way recently and got a little bit looser with it. But I think that overall, if you spend all your time focusing on like making your music sound like everything that you want it to, then you're going to lose the music that exists right here and right now. It's like what am I feeling? What's coming out? How is it moving me today? Um, and not getting caught in perfection. I think that overall, like instead of like somebody listening to one of your songs and be like, I understand him, it'd be like you can listen to my catalog and understand who I am, because I'm not one thing. Like you can't a person is not a thing. Like you can't it's not a thing, it's a process that's unfolding, it's a becoming. It's not like just because my name is Woody, it's not like I am Woody, you know, like it's an evolving thing. So why not let the music evolve as well, rather than trying to like
Do you ever stop and think about kind of like the psychology of what your music ultimately is like doing in the mind of the listener? For example, like tension and release, or the arc of moods people might go through and how they complement each other, things like that. Is that something that you're thinking about?
yeah, I mean, yes and no. I definitely will think about tension and release and developing a pattern, breaking it, and all that. I've written, wrote, I've wrote, I've written music with people um, that do think about that more, like overarching, like what kind of emotion do I want people to be feeling during this part. Um, but generally, when I write music, I'm not thinking about that. I'm sort of just like vibing on like, oh, this sounds cool. Like I really like that chord. Um, and then, like certain things will kind of pop out to you the more you do it. Like, oh, maybe we should take this here, and just trying out 1,000 things kind of will get you there. But I don't often. No, I'm not like it's not Duffrey so far is not a psyop, but I'll let y'all know when I'm starting to do the brainwashing shit. Maybe I
Or
mean
or
I
so he
will not.
claims.
I won't let you know.
Allegedly.
Actually, yeah,
Allegedly.
yeah, yeah.
So when it comes down to you and how you've achieved a certain level of success here with what you're trying to do, what do you feel like is the best advice you've been given so far that you've actually followed?
Hmm. I think I'm not sure the best advice. I think I don't know the best advice that I've been giving. I think the person that I call that has the best advice is OPO, Oscar, like by far. And normally, I think what he does is just asks like usually when I'm like need advice, like I will just kind of be cycling and sort of repeating my problem over and over again. I think what he does is just listens to what the problem is and then asks how I'm feeling about it. Like listens to how I'm feeling about it and then tells me how I'm feeling about it back to me. And like he's usually just basically tells me to do what I already want to do, in such a way that makes it feel like it's his idea. I don't know if that's accurate what he's trying to do, but that's what it feels like. He gives great advice. I can't like usually the advice is like tap in to your how you're feeling about it and go from there. Um, which I think is always good advice. And yeah, I think if he was listening, he would probably be like, "Yeah, I think I might have said that once." So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Otherwise, like I learn a lot of stuff, like advice wise, from like meditation books. Like I like Dan Harris, is like a news anchor guy that turned meditation evangelist, and yeah, some of the advice that he's got
What's
to
like an
give.
example there?
Um, he like an example, like so I signed up for his newsletter because I read a book and it got me into meditation. But one piece of advice that he wrote in his newsletter for and I don't even know if this is his. It's really just like good advice, like for a party. He was saying if you're anxious going into holiday parties, just find somebody and then keep asking questions about what you're interested about. What the last thing they said was, like just like repeat the last thing that they said, and then ask him a question about that. And I tried that and it really worked. And I think that's a pretty like ubiquitous party trick is just to like ask questions. But like, yeah, I mean the guy's tapped in. He's got good advice.
His name, you said Dan Harris?
Dan Harris. Yeah, the book is called 10% Happier, the one that I read. And that was like prescribed to me by a doctor when I was trying to get anxiety meds, which he also prescribed me. But he was like, I don't want to give these to you without like some other strategies. And I was like, cool, man. That's pretty heady. It's like not like every doctor would do that. Um, and yeah, I would say it's changed my life for the better. Um, yeah, my dad every day before I left for school said, "Go with love and learn." So I would say that's some of the best advice I've ever gotten and listened to.
What do you feel like is most important about being proud of your life? Like how to live so you feel good about your
Oh,
life.
okay. There's a book called The Four Agreements that will really help you with that. The first one is be impeccable with your word, which basically just means integrity. How are you living your life? Like, does it coincide? It's basically the first thing. We love a good callback. The first thing we talked about, being able to check in the mirror, seeing that if your behavior aligns with the ethos of who you think the process of becoming that represents you aligns with. Um, that's some fucking heady shit. So that's huge. I think not to, like the whole four agreements. Don't take anything personally. Always try your best. I always forget the last one. It's wait, be impeccable with your word.
I
Always
think it's
try.
being skeptical, something like
No,
that. It's
no.
being I think it's something like that. I'm gonna
Be
Google
impeccable
this.
with your word. Don't take anything personally. Always try your best. And yeah, I can't remember. I can never
It
remember the
says
fourth
don't
one.
make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, don't make assumptions. So yeah, I mean, like those, that's pretty general. But yeah, I think read the book and it really helps you navigate. It really helps me navigate. Also, another book that really helped me was called Why Buddhism is True, which is a pretty lofty title for a book, but like there's scientific backing to a lot of this stuff and it's proven to be true. And it's not like so much on the religion side of Buddhism because there's like reincarnation and all that. And that's not what the book is focusing about, but it's more focusing about practicing Buddhism, which is like practicing meditation and mindfulness and how that can benefit your life. And within that, they talk about evolutionary science and the different modules of the brain that have evolved to keep us safe and work within, you know, a small society, which now are out of context because we don't live in a small society, and how to navigate that with meditation and recognize where like maybe your brain is sending signals that we don't actually need right now, and you can sort of adjust and be happier overall, basically.
I love you shouting out meditation. That definitely can be a superpower if you find out a way that works for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely been big for me too. Woody, man, thank you for joining here. Thank you for sharing all the wisdom. And yeah, man,
Of
we'll
course.
catch you on the equinox or the solstice. I don't know my weather like that, but June
Oh, it's the
21st.
solstice. You're right. It's not the equinox. You do know the weather. It's not the equinox. It's the solstice.
All I know is we're gonna be at Mission Ballroom. We got a new album on the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, summer's here. Let's go.
Let's go.
This is Flowers on Stage.